one of the things that I like to do in a perfect world is be able to not identify, be able to answer any question that the student has. Obviously, it's a tall order, but after a while, you get used to the questions, including questions that are kind of out in the weeds or something like that, because people get curious. And the more questions that I can answer as an instructor, the more people just go, oh, it helps them relax. Like I'll give you an example. I was teaching a class on an engine, a particular engine that just came out. And that particular engine had a oil pump that had variable displacement, which meant that pressure changed and it made the engine a little bit more efficient. And there were multiple instructors there. And one of the students asked, how much more efficient does this oil pump make the engine? Well, that really doesn't matter in terms of fixing the car, but it matters to that person at that moment. So luckily there's an instructor, and the instructor could just raise their hand and say it's 1% because they'd read the technical paper on it. And boom, we move on. So there's that, just the limitations of the student. And one of the reasons why I like to have these small classes, maximum 4 people, is because we're teaching multiple students. So we're teaching students that all have separate limitations, different limitations. Some students, maybe have a student that's ADHD. You may have a student where English is a second language, blah, 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 blah. In a perfect world, everybody's kind of matched. But as you make classes bigger and bigger, first of all, you start putting the student farther and farther away from the instructor because there's more rows of chairs. But also what you do is you run the risk of having somebody, for example, that's at a bit high level and somebody that's a bit low level. So who do you teach to? If you teach to the highest level, you're going to lose a bunch of people. If you teach the lowest level, you're going to lose a bunch of people. And sometimes you can't avoid dealing with that. But what that means is you're kind of teaching 2 classes at the same time. By teaching 4 people at a time rather than 30 people at a time, I reduce statistically, the likelihood of running into that situation.